Hello, grade 5 students. Good afternoon. Mr. Waterman here with today's mathematics lesson. This is the first mathematics lesson of the school year, the first real one where we are going to be doing actual work. Hope everyone is doing safe and well. I know grade 5 comes back to school on Friday of this week, but I am still required to give all of you an online lesson today because 5-1 has their math day on Monday. 5-2 will have their math day on Thursdays. 5-3 will have their math day on Fridays. So when we come into school, it looks like 5-3 will have not an extra math lesson this week, but basically what I'm going to do on Friday in 5-3, you're going to get your notebooks, you're going to get all of your workbooks. I'm going to put the students in their seats in the math classroom, which is Miss Harris's classroom in the basement. Okay, it's that classroom that you pass as you are going to the library. So more on that later. So what I have in front of me today is one of the tools we are going to be using, my math notebook, or Taejun Lee's math notebook, because we are going to start with the table of contents today, which is on page 1. And the first thing we are going to do for this term, for this semester, we are going to be studying order of operations. Okay. And I like doing order of operations because it is fun, and you need this for junior high school as well as high school mathematics because there are certain rules that you will need to follow. Okay? And my notes for order of operations, they're going to be on page number 2. Okay? So with that complete, and if you were here at Tokyo Korean School last year, you know that we did the same thing in grade 4 mathematics. So now I'm going to turn to page number 2, and we'll put page numbers in when you get your notebooks. I'm going to write my title nice and big on the top again, which is order of operations. Okay, so now that I've done that, many of you remember one of the things that I like to do at the start of each new unit or each new lesson is I like to write the objective. And the objective is telling us what we are going to study. So the objective for order of operations, I'm going to write objective here. Our objective is we are going to use the order of operations to simplify expressions. Now, the objective is very important. Why? Because when I give you tests this year, the tests won't only be covering word problems or number problems. Sometimes I will ask you true-false questions on the test. Some of those true-false questions will come from the objective. Sometimes you will have a fill-in-the-blank. Those questions will also come from the objective, so make sure you study the objectives too. Okay? So we're going to look at a sample problem as we do. So I'm going to say simplify. Now, you know when we simplify, we make something as small as we can. We're going to simplify 8 plus in parentheses, 4 times 24 divided by 32. Okay? So under my notes here, I'm going to say, to simplify an expression when there are more than 2 operations in the expression, you must, and I'm going to put the word must in all caps, you must use a set, I'm going to underline simplify, that's important. You must use a set of rules called the order of operations. Okay? We're going to underline order of operations as well. Okay? Now, what does the order of operations tell you? Let's find out. The order of operations tells you in which order to perform the operations when simplifying. Okay. Now, there's something that we use called a PIMDA. Okay. I'm going to write it this way. P-E-M-D-A. S. PIMDAS. Okay? This helps people remember which order they should perform first. Now, each letter in PIMDA stands for something. The P stands for please. The E stands for excuse. The M stands for my. Oops, let me write that again. I almost wrote an equal sign. D stands for dear. A stands for aunt. And S stands for Sally. Okay? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay? Now, why do we have words for that? What does that tell us? In math, what are we doing? Well, the P stands for parentheses. Anything that comes in here. Okay? These are your parentheses. The next one, these are called exponents. Okay? If you see a number that looks like this, 2 with a little 2 up here, that's called an exponent. And what that wants you to do is multiply this number by itself this many times. Okay? So we'll get back to that in a bit. The M stands for multiply. We all know what that means. Multiply. D. Divide. The A is for add. And the S is for subtract. Okay? So in short, with all these rules here, we have a lot of rules today, so get ready. I'm going to put it down here. Order of operations. Okay. I'm going to underline that again. Rule number 1. Simplify the terms within parentheses. Okay? That's a very important rule. 2. What you want to do, you want to simplify the terms with exponents. Now, every question might not have an exponent, okay? But for the questions that do, you always want to do the exponents as the second step. For number 3, you want to multiply and divide from left to right. And finally, for number 4, you want to add and subtract from left to right. Okay? So those are all of our rules. So now let's get back to our original question. I don't have space, so I need to go to another page. I like to do everything in steps. Okay? So step 1. We're going to simplify within the parentheses. So I go over the rules over and over again. So by the time I get done, you all will be experts on order of operations. Okay? So in my parentheses, I have 4 times 24, right? Let me write it this way. 24 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry a 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. That gives us 96. So step 1 is finished. Then we go to step 2. You're going to divide 96 by 32. Okay? So I'm going to write it this way. 32 divided by 96. Now this is easy, right? Very simple math. So we know that 32 times 3 is going to give you 96. So I'm just going to go ahead and subtract 96. That takes care of that. Okay. Finally, we're going to go to step number 3. We're going to add 8. Okay. So here we just say 3 plus 8, and that's going to give us 11. Now, 11 is going to be our answer. Okay? So that's how I do it in steps. If I do it this way, to give you an idea, look at it this way. I'm going to write it again. 8 plus 4 times 24 in parentheses divided by 32. Okay? When you're figuring out the problem, you don't have to do it all in steps like this, right? That would take you a really long time, and then you don't have a lot of space. So, here's what I'm going to do. I follow my PIMDA, my parentheses. So I'm going to write everything again. 8 plus, but this time I know 4 times 24, that's going to give me 96. Okay? And now I'm going to divide that by 32. Equal sign again. Okay? Now, what do I do next, going from left to right? Well, I have to divide first because my D in dear for divide will come before the A in add. So, I'm going to bring down my 8. 96 divided by 32 is 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. And that's how I come up with my answer. Okay? Now, what you all can do is if you have notebook paper like this, you can take notes ahead of time, especially if you are in classes 5-1 and 5-2. If you all don't end up taking notes, that's okay, because I will make a copy of these pages and then you can just put them into your notebooks. I'll leave the choice totally up to you. All right? So, I'm going to show you another example. Now I want to focus on parentheses and exponents. Okay? I'm going to title this Another Example. Okay. Parentheses and exponents. Okay, so here's my question. I'm going to write in parentheses 12 divided by 4 squared. That's how we read that little number at the top. That little 2 we say squared. Times 4 times 5 in parentheses minus 8 minus 4 in parentheses plus 5 squared. Okay, so now what do we do first? We simplify within the parentheses, right? So 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So that gives me 3 squared, right? The next set in parentheses is 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So now I have 3 squared times 20. Then my last set of parentheses is 8 minus 4. 8 minus 4 is 4 plus 5 squared. Okay? So what did I do first? I had to simplify within parentheses. So that's done. Now my next step, I need to simplify the exponents, right? So I have a few exponents. 3 squared, that is 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So that gives me 9 times 20. Okay? Minus 4 plus, so 5 squared is 5 times 5. That gives me 25. Okay? So that simplify, that's my little arrow. Simplify exponents. Okay? Then, the next step, I'm going to have to multiply, right? That comes next in PIMDAS, multiply. So that's going to give me 9 times 20. That gives me 180. Okay? 180 minus 4 plus 25. So here that step was to multiply. Okay. Finally, I go from left to right. So 180 minus 4 gives me 176 plus 25. That's going to equal 201 as my answer. So the final step was to add and subtract from left to right. Add and subtract from left to right. Okay? So there, you have 2 big examples on how to do your order of operations. There we go. And there we go. Now, for tonight's homework, I am going to scan a page from your homework book. As you know, the red writing, this is homework. Okay? And we are working on order of operations, which is page 34 in our homework book. So I'm going to put a check here because we are doing that today. And I will have a scanned copy for everyone. Please make sure you read the directions very, very carefully. Class 5-3, since you are coming into school on Friday, you can bring your homework in with you, okay? Class 5-1 and 5-2, you can bring your homework into school when you come the following week. All right, so let's review. So order of operations, the rules. 1, simplify the terms within parentheses. 2, simplify the terms with exponents. 3, multiply and divide from left to right. 4, add and subtract from left to right. So here's an example. 8 plus 5 in parentheses times 2 to the 3rd power, or 2 cubed as we call that, minus 3. Well, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Remember PIMDAS. So first we do the parentheses. 8 plus 5 is 13. Next we do the exponent. 13 times 2 cubed. Now 2 cubed that just tells us 2 times 2 times 2. That's going to give us 8. So 2 cubed minus 3. 13 times 8 minus 3. Now we do multiplication, and then we subtract. 13 times 8, that's 104. 104 minus 3 is 101. Let's do a few together. Let's look at number 1. 85 minus 22. Let's do what's in parentheses first. 85 minus 22 is going to give us 63. Now, we do the exponent. 63 plus 4 squared, or 63 plus 16, that's going to give us 79. So remember to show your work, okay? Now, let's do another example. Let's look at the second part, where it says write greater than, less than, or equal for each. Let's look at number 10. 43 plus 17 minus 6 in parentheses. Then you have 43 plus 17 in parentheses minus 6. Okay, let's do the work. First, we do what's in parentheses. So we have 43 plus 17 minus 6. That's going to give us 11. So 43 plus 11, that's going to give us 54. Let's do the next set. 43 plus 17. Well, we do what's in parentheses first. That's going to give us 60. 60 minus 6, that's going to give us 54. So these are equal. Okay? Now, look at this part here. It says evaluate the expressions given x equals 3 and y equals 5. So, this is 4 times x plus y minus y squared equals, now you guys will love this because you will see a lot of this in junior high school math. So we need to plug in the values for x and y. I'm going to rewrite it here and show you the work. 4 times 3 plus 5 in parentheses minus 5 squared. Now we do what's in parentheses first, right? That's right. So 3 plus 5 is 8, so that's 4 times 8 minus 5 squared. Then we do the exponent next, right? So then that's 4 times 8 minus 25. Then we do our multiplication, 32 minus 25, and that gives us 7. Okay? So there's my answer there. So you always need to show your work. There's not a lot of space, so you can use another piece of paper, or you can just use this back page. That's what I do. Okay? And those are your examples. And that is today's mathematics lesson. It was a lot of notes. It was 30 minutes long, but it was, I think, a very interesting lesson. When you all come into school next week, you will be able to tell me what PIMDAs mean, what each letter stands for in English, and also you'll tell me what operation we are supposed to perform. So study this very carefully, okay? If you have any questions, please email Mr. Waterman. And that's it. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I look forward to seeing you all at school next week and the week after, and very, very soon. Take care and bye-bye for now.